throughout history, there have always been inequalities. Inequalities across societies. Inequalities that have led to things like slavery, poverty, starvation, as the case may be. Throughout history, the story of inequalities is as old as time. Survival of the fittest, even. Similar to inequalities, something else that has also been gatekept is quality education. Quality education is something that has been reserved for the elite, for a few, so to speak, until maybe the last 50 to 100 years. That is where the conversation about education has become something that it has become a right for every individual to be educated, at least to the basic level. Now, it's a very interesting concept, and perhaps the reason for this, in fact, I'm certain that the reason for this is because of what education does to you. Education enlightens you. It frees the mind and the body from captivity. It is a tool for emancipation, so to speak. And to make my point, I'm going to draw a story from the Bible. And the reason I'm drawing a story from the Bible is because a large part of our society is built on the foundation of biblical principles. And what I'm making this video ultimately to get you to think about what position you exist in a society and how to move yourself from the position you exist, if you do not like a position that you occupy, to a different position. And I'm drawing from a story in the Bible so that paints a picture for you to understand how old some of these issues are. So if you go to Daniel, the book of Daniel, chapter 1, it talks about a time when Jerusalem was overrun by the Babylonians and it was besieged. And the people in Jerusalem were taken into captivity. And then after some time, the king Nebuchadnezzar at the time, asked his chief of court to go among the captives and select a group of people who were to be educated. And then he gave characteristics or a selection criteria for these people. They were either to be of noble blood, in other words, from royalty, what we like to say, who's your father, so to speak, or who are your parents. The second criteria was that they were to be good looking. So if you were not of noble blood, the criteria for you to get selected was that you had to be good looking, tall, fit, without blemish was the word used. The third criteria was that you were to be smart or intelligent or teachable, as they presented in the Bible. And then if you had either of these criteria, any of these criteria, you were to be taken to the king's court to be fed and trained in the way of the Chaldeans. You were to be taught the language and the culture, and then you were to serve in the king's court. The rest were left to till the earth. Now, this tells you that fundamentally, people have always been selected to be educated. This is even among captives. So even among those who were taken into captivity, a chosen few were allowed to access education, and they were to be taught the ways of the Chaldeans for 3 years, something that is akin to a bachelor's degree. And then afterwards, they were to be fed, very well fed, and afterwards they were to serve in the king's court permanently. Now, this means if you are born into the society today, there are some inherent characteristics that you may have going for you, either by virtue of what family you were born into, the environment you were born into, your looks, or how smart or intelligent you are. And in fact, these were the characteristics for people to be chosen to be educated. Just have a think about that. Now, why am I drawing from the Bible? Like I said earlier, because fundamentally a lot of our society's principles are built on biblical foundations. So, and then many of the things still exist, but maybe not in the way which obviously the Bible describes it in the book of Daniel. But fundamentally, what this tells you is that education is a tool. It's something that is there to help you move from one situation to another, from one station in life to another station in life. Now, you know yourself. If you look at the characteristics that you have, and you look at the way the world is today, good-looking people gain access by virtue of their looks is a fact. people with familial access, family names, strong family names, to get access to things. People who are intelligent, people who are smart, street smarts even, are able to navigate their way and move out of a situation. Now, many of these characteristics are characteristics that you did not choose for yourself. But then, which means if you do not have any of these characteristics, you need to ask yourself, what can you do to move from point A to point B? And then the answer, even from the explanation that you gave, is to get educated. Because ultimately, they were selected to go and be educated. The only other option for the rest was to till the earth. Now, fundamentally, what I'm trying to get across to you is that education is something that has been clearly safeguarded for years because of the potential to open doors and free you. So if you're someone who feels that you don't fall into any of this spectrum, because even in today's world, even though people don't say these things, even in today's world, those things still exist. Is it favorable? Is it supposed to be that way? Well, the simple answer is no. However, it is what it is. So what you should do is to be conscious of the limitations that you have as a person and then find ways to overcome those limitations by, I would say, networking right, such that you are able to align with those principles or build a life for yourself and a life for your children, importantly, that get them to escape from the shackles that have limited you. I would leave you to ponder on this on your own, and then we can pick up the conversation